Wow, this was a great episode of My Hero Academia. It did a perfect job with illustrating, does Izuku deserve One for All? And I think many, before watching this episode or before reading in the manga for the first time, didn't even really think about this. Like, does Izuku truly deserve One for All? Like, is there someone out there that is better than him and could do the job better? And this is a question that this episode definitely does raise, and I think this is definitely something that's going to make everybody wonder about Izuku's character, because even though he is our MC, and we know from the narration at the beginning of the story that he does become the #1 hero, the greatest hero, but once again, this is his narration, so his greatest hero could still not be the greatest hero, just from his perspective he thinks he is. But regardless of that point, though, is that even though he is our MC, he does need to go through a lot of trial and error to be worthy of that spot. And at this time, of everything we have seen from My Hero Academia, Izuku really doesn't deserve it as much as maybe someone else. When you really look at certain other track records, let's look at Togata, okay? Because that's kind of what this episode wanted to show, was that Togata was an individual that potentially was going to get One for All, but eventually All Might discovered Izuku, and Izuku became the holder of One for All. But imagine this, okay? Just imagine Togata having One for All for a second. After what we've already seen basically presented from the last season of the anime, but also from what we've just seen from his character overall, he pretty much is a mini All Might, and he has put a lot of time and dedication into his, quirk to be able to learn it. And as I talked about in my final review of Season 3, when you first look at Togata's quirk, it was something that was just extremely broken. It was so broken, in fact, that many looking at not understanding me like, man, that's overpowered. But when you find out what he had to do to get to that point, you're like, oh my god, this man really went out of his way to really make his quirk something else and really went beyond to just be where he's at. And so imagine someone like this basically having All Might's quirk, One for All. That's scary. And also, you would think that because of how much training and effort that Togata's already put in, he would probably have a higher base level of strength from One for All than Izuku would. So when you really look at what this episode was trying to present, is that does Izuku deserve it, and does someone else deserve it over him? Or in this case, does Togata deserve One for All over Izuku? So I do like what this is really presenting to the story right now, because it's giving Izuku a reason to kind of understand his worth and find out, does he truly deserve to be the #1 hero, and how far is he willing to go to be able to be a hero? So this is a great episode, or a great part of the story to really just show what type of person Izuku is and actually give him characterization and development. And I really do like Night-Eye's assessment of Izuku and what he did in this episode. Basically, he starts to talk to Izuku in this episode. It's like, I'm not going to let you be an intern here. Like, I'm not going to let you intern and all that here. And, I'm not going to stamp this paper. And even though he was going to allow Izuku to be there and he was lying in that moment, the whole point of Night-Eye being so, I guess, like a wall to Izuku and mean to him, was that he wanted to break down Izuku and let him realize that he's pretty much worthless, and that he is someone that does not deserve to be the next symbol of peace. It could be someone else that is much, much better. And that was the entire point of it. He just wanted to break down Izuku and make him realize that he is not as good as he thinks he is. He's not worthy. And I do think that one of the big things, though, that this episode also did a good job with was depicting how Izuku is still able, in some case, even when he's going up against someone that's really trying to rattle him and get him upset, he's able to keep a cool head and not destroy things around him, which that's a big point that this episode showed, and I want to dive into, is that when the ending sequence of this episode happens, and, you know, Izuku does lose. He's not able to get the stamp from Sir Nighteye. Nighteye assesses the situation, and he's like, wait a minute, you're telling me he jumped around this entire room like Gran Torino, and he was dodging all of the All Might merchandise to not harm it at all? And he's like, while trying to defeat me, figure out my quirk, etc.? And the reason why he was so amazed by it, he even chuckled, was because Izuku was actually doing hero work in that moment. He actually was doing something that a proper hero is supposed to do. And to give clarification, basically, when you think about a hero situation in society, they have a lot of restrictions. It's not just saving lives, but also they have to stop destruction of property. They cannot destroy the buildings around, they cannot destroy, you know, power lines, etc. They have to be very careful of how they use their quirks and how they maneuver around the space. Now, obviously, villains, they do not have this restriction, which makes villains very dangerous because they don't need to worry about holding back. But heroes, they kind of do. If a hostage is grabbed, obviously a hero can't go completely in. That is the big point here, is that Izuku, the way he was fighting Sir Nighteye, he was fighting like a true hero. He wasn't just trying to go in like a villain, not caring about anything around him. He truly showed his worth by not harming anything that was really of value all around, keeping damage to a minimum to be able to you know, get Sir Nightheye's stamp from him. So that was a great moment to really depict Izuku demonstrating some qualities of a hero, and I think that's what really amazed Sir Nighteye, was that he actually, even if I don't think he deserves, you know, one for all, he does show that he does have hero potential. So that's a big point there. So, let's get into Sir Nightheye's character. Since this is technically our first time really seeing the character within My Hero Academia's anime, let's kind of go over his character, his design, etc. So, personally, I've always been a big fan. When I read the manga, I loved Sir Nighteye. I loved his design. I loved the way he just had this presence about him around Izuku, and I don't know, he just is a very unique character. And I think many kind of looking at this episode are probably going to really like him because he has this personality that isn't automatically going along with Izuku. He's not someone that's backing him instantly, etc. He is being very abrasive, like, no, 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 and you're going to have to prove yourself and all that. And I don't know, his just character has a really good introduction for the story. And I think that many, by the time that this season of My Hero Academia is over, I think are really going to fall in love with this character and just really enjoy and want more from him. So stopping there for a moment, let's talk about the situation at the end of the episode. So we get to see Overhaul and a little girl running. Now this is truly quite a scene, and honestly, it's extremely iconic for the story. I'm going to say right now, it's very iconic, it's a big deal, and it's definitely kind of like a big moment that sets off a chain of events. And I really do think that people probably could feel that the atmosphere is slowly shifting within the story, especially within this episode, because of just what, you know, happened at the end. You know, the presentation of Overhaul being there, because we know what he's capable of, especially after what he did to Magne in the previous episode. So, Overhaul was chasing a little girl in some cases, and it's obvious that she was frightened and scared. You could just tell by her reaction she was truly horrified, and she didn't know what to really do. And you gotta remember from what was stated within this episode, is that even though they know that Overhaul's group is technically villains, they can't really do anything because they really haven't done anything illegal or villainous yet. Even though they know they're villains, they can't do anything. It's kind of like the mob. Like, you know, for instance, you know that they're mobsters, you know that they're gangsters, etc. They're really bad people, but because they're technically not breaking laws publicly and there's no proof, they can't really detain them and get them. So even though they know that Overhaul's probably a villain, they can't do anything about it. And so it really makes the situation awful, because you can't just detain a regular civilian, because technically he is classified as a civilian, not as a villain. So that's the point here, is that, you know, whatever's going on there, depending on how it's presented, there's really nothing that Izuku could actually do unless, you know, there is something that warrants him really being a villain. But, stopping there, though, I do think that This is just such a great episode to really introduce our Nighteye, to showcase one of the main points of what this arc is going to be about. So yeah, I'm excited. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. Because for some reason, even if you click the subscribe button, you don't always get notified. So if you want to get notified, hit that bell icon. And with that, Chibi out.